So dear students, today is our second class in our statistics chapter. So last day we discussed what is economics, and we have defined the different concepts of statistics, economics, given by our renowned economists, right from our Adam Smith and to our Paul M. Samuelson. Thereafter we have discussed our meaning of statistics, and there we learned the statistics may be defined in plural sense and in singular sense. So after having some concepts of statistics, now another term is very much related, that is called data. So data, that term is very much important. It has its own significance when we are taking into account the concept of statistics, particularly in economics. Now, how do you define data? Normally, data, what does it mean? That data is nothing but our any informations or any facts that is called our data. But in statistics, that data is have some special connotation, that is that it's a factual informations that is recorded. That factual informations, that means that information that is having some numerical values, and that numerical values that will be recorded when we are having our surveys through our sample survey method or through our census survey method. So either of the two methods, if we use either sample survey or census survey, we collect informations, and that information is called our data. So that data is our factual informations, and that is recorded in proper way by having systematic methods and used for the purpose of analysis. So first of all, if you define data, then it is your numerical informations, that is numerical facts. Numerical facts, that numerical facts that is recorded, that is collected, recorded, and that is used for the purpose of analysis. Again, the data is collected in raw form, that is, it is not processed. So in our statistics, in singular sense, when we define statistics, that time statistics in singular sense, then we have defined statistic is a statistical method. And what does it that method includes? That method include the collection of data, the classifications or organizations, then presentations, then analysis, and then interpretations of facts. That is called our statistics as a statistical methods. So in that sense, when you collect your informations from the field, then it is presented in raw form. That is, it is not classified, it is not organized, it is not presented. So that data we get at the first time in raw form. Then we have some our organizations, we have some our classifications, then and it become processed data. So when we are getting our processed data, then results of that data analysis, that is called our statistics. So that statistics, the term is very much related with the data. So if you define data, then the data is our factual information, so numerical facts that is collected, that is recorded, and that is used for our purpose of analysis or statistical analysis. So the data types, if you say types of data, then we are having numerical data, then again numerical data that is having discrete form, and continuous form. Then we are having categorical data, categorical data and ordinal data. Ordinal data. So if we have data, then that data is our factual information that is recorded and used for the purpose of analysis. Then if you take your the types of data, then types of data, maybe it is a numerical form. If it is a numerical form, then it may be discrete or it may be continuous. Then it may be a categorical form and or it may be in ordinal form. So let us discuss all these types of data, that is numerical, categorical and ordinal, one by one. So we are now going to discuss the different types of data for our further analysis. So now we are having types of data, and that types may be your numerical data. That types of data, if you say in measurement scale, then it is a numerical data, then it is categorical data, and it is ordinal data. So let us discuss one by one what is the nature or features of numerical data, categorical data and ordinal data. So in measurement scale, if you take then the numerical data, then that numerical data that is expressed in the data that is expressed in numerical terms. So it is it can be quantified. So the numerical data is always called, it is quantitative data. So any numerical information that is taken into account in statistics, that is your numerical data. Like that is the height of a person, weight of a person, income of a person, the consumption, expenditure of a person. So all these that can be quantified, that become your numerical data. So if you say that numerical data, that is the data or information that can be quantified in numerical form, then it becomes numerical data. Then again we are having the numerical data is having its discrete form, and it is also having its continuous form. So let us learn what is the discrete form and what is the continuous form. Then if you count that discrete data, then discrete data that can be counted. The first features of discrete data, that it can be counted. The values may be fixed. Here you can take the income, the height of a person. So height of a person that may be under that will come under continuous data. We will discuss the weight of a person, that will also come under continuous form. Now suppose we are having the values, suppose with 0, 1, 2 up to infinity. So that 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these values that can be counted, and these values here we have to return the values may be fixed. So 0, that is a fixed value, 1, that is a fixed value, 2 is a fixed value, 3 is a fixed value. So when you are able to represent your data in that form, either 1, 2, 3, not in ratio form but in fixed form, if you can express your information, and then suppose what is the level of utility that you derive after consuming a sweet. So if you say after consumption of a sweet or after consumption of an apple, my level of satisfaction is 10. My level of satisfaction is 10, then that 10, that is a fixed value and it can be counted, so it is a discrete data. Now if you say now after consumption of an apple, my level of utility that ranges between 10 to 20, then no longer it become your discrete, then it will come under continuous form. So my point of view is that when your data that is expressed in numerical form and it can be counted, and the values may be fixed like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, 50, then it becomes your discrete data. Now what is continuous data? Naturally it will be numerical form, it will be in quantitative form. So the first features of continuous data is that the possible values cannot be counted. The possible values cannot be counted. It described using interval like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 in that way. So these two features, if we take into account, then the possible values cannot be counted. So if you take 0 to 10, so 0 to 10, that is within this range you are having infinite number of values like 0.1, then 0.01, then 0.001, 0.00001, and 9.1, 9.2, 9.999. In that way, in this range 0 to 10, you are having infinitely large number of values. So that's why the possible values cannot be counted. And that value, suppose we are having this value, suppose 9.2, suppose 9.6, that can be put within an interval. So if you say suppose within this range, suppose 0 to 10, 0 to 10, that is an interval. So within this range, these two values, these are also coming. Okay, 5.6, 5.6, this is a value, ratio value. Then this value also comes under within this interval 0 to 10. So this type of data, that is called our continuous data. So to be continuous data, the possible values cannot be counted. That is the first feature. Then the described, it described using interval like that 0 to 10, 10 to 20. In that way, you are having your own intervals, and the uncountably infinite numbers that exist within each interval. So these types of features, when that causes, then the numerical data will be continuous, otherwise it will be discrete. So our first type of data, that is numerical. What we know, numerical data is that can be expressed in numerical form. That is, it is quantitative in nature. Under numerical form, again we are having discrete features, again we are having continuous features. So what type of data is discrete? That is the data that can be counted. The values may be fixed like 0, 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. And when we are having your continuous form, then the possible values cannot be counted like your discrete data, and it described using interval like 0 to 10, 10 to 20. In that way, we are having another feature, that is, it is within this range of within this interval, you are having uncountably infinite large number of values. So this is your numerical data. Now if you describe what is the categorical data, then the first features of categorical data, that it represents some characteristics, it represents some attributes, it represents some features, like your gender. The gender, whether the person is a male or whether person is a female, then it is a one characteristics. So that male, that represents one characteristic, that female represents another characteristic. Marital status, for marital status, that is whether you are married or you are unmarried. Your geographical location, that also comes under your categorical data, whether you are residing in rural areas or you are residing in urban areas. So that type of data comes under categorical form. Here quantity, that quantity you may assign, that may take one numerical values. Suppose if you say the gender, and if you want to represent the gender through number, then you can assign 1 for male and 2 for female, or you can assign 0 for male and 1 for female. That is up to you. So if you represent that characteristics by number, then that number that do not have any mathematical meaning. So under categorical form, you can assign the characteristics by assigning number, but that number do not have any mathematical meaning. So that is the features of your categorical data. Now that again, the categorical data is also called qualitative in nature. That is qualitative in nature. Numerical data, that is called quantitative, and that category, that represents actually the attributes. So as the attributes like your gender, like your marital status, like your geographical locations, all these represents your attributes, so it becomes your qualitative nature. So categorical data qualitative in nature, and numerical data is called quantitative in nature. Now let us discuss what is ordinal data. Now the ordinal data, it mixes both the forms, that is numerical and categorical data. Under ordinal form, you are having the characteristics, some characteristics of numerical data and some characteristics of categorical data. So under ordinal data, we are having some categories. We are having some categories, and that categories again can be represented by numerical number. And here that numerical number, it is having some meaning. But simply under categorical data, if you assign 1 for male and 2 for female, then that 1 and 2 does not have any mathematical meaning. But under ordinal data, when you are having some categories, like our categories here, matriculate, graduate, postgraduate. So the matriculate, up to matriculate, that represents one group, that is one category. Graduate, that represents another category. Postgraduate, that represents another category. And here you can assign matriculate, that number 1 for graduate, number 2, and for postgraduate number 3. Now here these 1, 2 and 3, it is having some mathematical meaning. What does that mean? Meaning is there, that is postgraduate is better than graduate, graduate is better than matriculate. So that number 3 here, the number 3, it is mathematically here it is greater than 2 and 2 is greater than 1. So these values having here some weightage. So that 3 weightage is more than 2, 2 weightage is more than 1. So here that number is having some mathematical meaning. But here that number 1 and 2, that do not carries any mathematical meaning. Here these two terms are equivalent. That is 1 is equal to 2, 2 is equal to 1. You cannot say male is better than female or female is better than male. If you say 2 is greater than 1, so what does it mean? Here 2 carries the name of female and 1 carries the name of male. So 2 greater than 1, that will indicate that female is better than male. So under categories, that does not have any meaning. But under ordinal data, as it mixes the nature of numerical data and categorical data. So first you make some categories, and if you plot your numerical number to each categories, then that number will represent categories, and that number is also having mathematical meaning. So data fall into categories and have mathematical meaning, that become your ordinal data. So this is the types of your categorical the types of data. That is, it can be numerical data, it can be categorical data, it can be ordinal data. So the statistics, or when we are dealing with our data in statistics, then that numerical data, that carries more meaning. We will be discussing or categorical data or ordinal data. They are also having their own significance in statistics, but we are having more exercises with our numerical data. And again, in our next class, we will discuss the different types of numerical data. That is your numerical data or statistical data, that can be primary in nature or that can be secondary in nature. What is primary and what is secondary, that will discuss in our next class. So for today, we have learned what is the data, what is the data, the meaning of data in statistics, then what are the different types of data in statistics, and here we have the types. Under types of data, we are having numerical data. That under numerical data, again you are having the discrete form and you are having the continuous form. And we have learned that numerical data, that is quantitative data. Again, we have discussed what is categorical data. The categorical data always represents the qualitative nature. And we have discussed the ordinal data. And again, ordinal data, it is the mixture of both numerical and categorical data. That is, it is the mixture of both quantitative and qualitative form. So we have discussed all these things, and in our next class we will discuss the primary data and secondary data. What are the different methods of collecting primary data, and we will discuss what is the sample survey and what is census survey. So thank you friends for today.